Right then, I wanted to quickly show you some things with the Roland MC-101 that are a little bit more advanced and just useful things to know when you are using this machine, especially if you're thinking about using one of these for live performance, in a doorless performance. So the first thing is the fact that each of these 4 channels can have a different machine on it, but they can also all have the same machine. So if I go to my first track here and I press Shift and Project and then press 1, okay, I can delete that track. I'm not actually going to do it because I've got a drum track on there at the moment, but you can delete that track and then you can choose what to have on there. I'll do it for the Shift and Project. I'll do it for track 4 because I've only got a looper on there at the moment. Okay, so I've deleted what machine was on there, and then I can choose. You can see that I can scroll up from looper, drum and compressor, to drum track, or a tone track, which is basically a synth track. So I'm going to stick a looper track on there for something that I'm going to do later. So you could essentially have, 4 drum tracks on there. Okay, so that's pretty useful when it comes to live performance, as you could either layer up drums. So maybe on your track 1 you can have your kick drum, and maybe track 2 you could have your hi-hats and claps and all the sort of high-end percussion rides and things, and then on 3 you could have your sort of percussion section, maybe like bongos or toms or something like that, and then 4 you could maybe have like sound effects, and then you've got a really like deep and layered percussion machine here. So yeah, I had a couple of comments that said that the drums on this were useless and no good for techno, but to be fair, there is an 808 sound on here, or there is an 808 kit on here, numerous 808 kits, there's numerous 909 kits, and I honestly can't tell the difference between the kits that are on here and a Roland TR8S. They sound just the same, and I'm fairly sure that if you use this machine on a big sound system, you'd have no problems, especially with the 909 kicks. They sound pretty cool. I mean, if you wanted an extra bit of beef to it, maybe run it through like a compression pedal, like an EHX platform or something. I have got some other videos that you might want to check out where I do actually run the 808 and the 909 sounds through an EHX platform pedal, and you can hear what they sound like. That just makes things a bit more fat and gritty. So then what I wanted to show you then was that I have got a kick drum. Sorry, I've just literally come into this room, loaded up the MC-101 and started talking about this machine and recording a video for it. So I've got a kick drum on there. I've got some toms and hats and a clap on there. And I've got some like bongos, percussion on there. Okay, so all together then, they sound like this. Okay, so pretty cool, pretty groovy. So I've covered the first point that I wanted to talk about. That was just having drums on multiple tracks. You can do that, or you could have 4 synths going at the same time. There's nothing to say that you couldn't do that. That'd be maybe a useful or good thing in your live setup. The other thing I wanted to talk about then is the micro timing on this. So if I go to let's go to track 2 because that's got loads of hats in it. So I press track 2, I go to sequence, note. Okay, closed hat, go to my sequence. I can see I've got my closed hat pattern here. Now, if you wanted to give your hi-hat pattern a little bit more groove, maybe you'd want to change the volume or essentially the velocity of that hi-hat. So if I hold shift and click on one of those steps, I can then easily change the velocity with this knob here. Okay, you can see that as I turn it, it's changing the velocity, it's changing the numbers. So I can turn that down a bit. They're normally set at 100. I think that's what the norm is, and that goes from, it's 0 to 127. So 128 steps. So maybe we could turn those down a little bit on the sort of offbeats. In fact, I think I've already done that on some of these. Let's do that on these. Okay, now let's just listen to that. I think we probably need to mute a few. Okay, so can't hear the difference, that much difference in there at the moment, but there's loads of other sounds going on, but I'm pretty sure it has made a difference. Let's try it on the ride. Okay, so let's make that one. Oops. Shift. That's actually, the velocity's made quite a big difference to that. Okay, so yeah, that's cool that you can change the velocity then of those drums, which is pretty useful. The next thing I wanted to talk about then is the micro timing of those drums. I think I recorded them in, I did record them in live, so they've already got some start data on them that's slightly different. Okay, you can see how rubbish I am at playing these. If I turn that, this is your start, the STA C2 is where that sample starts, so you can actually change where that sample starts, sort of like knock it forward or knock it backwards a little bit, but it sounds pretty bang on the beat at the moment. I think that's probably because I've got like a global quantize going on. So if I hold shift and press the record button, I get into the quantize section. Okay, so if I go to quantize there, I've got input quantize is off, so that means when I'm actually like playing those notes in, it's not snapping them to this grid. Okay, so it'll give it more of a live feel. But I have got the master quantize on at 100%. So if I just turn that off for the moment, you're going to hear all the other percussion that I played in and how badly out of time it was. Okay. Yeah, you can hear. That's really funny. You can hear how badly I played in that the toms. But yeah, let's just go to note. Okay, let's go to that. So I go to note. If I hold note and I just take the toms out because they're just embarrassing. But what I can do is I can go to my ride symbol, go to sequence, and I can just, in fact, sorry, I don't mean to be so indecisive, but trying to think of something that would sound, so you should be able to hear it being moved with the micro timing. So I'm going to actually mute everything aside from the clap, so I can show you the micro timing with that. Right, okay, so if I go to Shift and I click on the clap, oops, I'm not in the right right mode there to move the clap. So if I go to sequence, I can see where those claps are. Shift, click on the clap. Maybe I want to move that clap a bit before the kick. Now you can hear that the clap on the 5th step is really quite before the beat, and equally I could turn it so it's just slightly after the beat, whereas the clap on 13 is bang on. Now you're probably wondering, why would you ever want to do that? But actually, there's some techno producers that use this sort of like super swung and off-grid percussion massively to their advantage. I can't quite remember what the name of the producer is now. It's a German producer who he makes incredible music, and it's super sort of swung with hits all over the place, but that's what really makes it groove. I will try to remember what his name is, and maybe I'll mention it before the end of the video, but if I don't, then I will put his name and maybe a couple of tracks that he's made in the comments. It will come to me, I'm sure it will. Okay, so that's so we've got drums. Then let's just turn that back so it's actually on the beat. So we've got drums, the micro timing, and that's cool. Obviously you can have sub steps, so you can, this is a really interesting thing as well. Yeah, so you can press, so you can have 2 claps on the beat there. Four claps on one beat. Bit of flam, so you can also like just super useful stuff if you want to introduce like a super gnarly groove. Okay, so the third thing that I wanted to talk about then in this video is resampling. I'm just going to press Shift and quantize, and I'm going to go to the master quantize. I'm going to put it back on to 100% just so everything sounds nice, but maybe I won't. Maybe I'll put it on like 80% so it sounds a little bit humanized. Okay, a little bit, not a lot, because my version of humanized is awful. So let's play that. Okay, I've actually left that flam in there, haven't I? So if I go back to that, let's just take that off. I think it's important here as well to note that that ride cymbal is massively loud. So if I go into the sequence. Oh no, sorry. Go into note. I'm going to select the ride, then I press shift and sound. And I want to, I want to select pad 6. Okay, that's my ride. I want to bring the level of that ride down. If I hold note and unmute it. Alright, it's way too loud. So if I go shift and sound, pad 6, because that's the ride on pad 6. Bring the, didn't want to bring the, no, didn't want to do that, that's my filters. Pad 6, I need to click on that, I need to bring the level of that down. Okay, so hopefully what I'm showing you is that you can quickly record in drum pans, but then you can really go in and sort of edit them so that they sound pretty decent fairly easily. Okay, so yeah, let's get on to the third thing, because I've been talking for 15 minutes now and there's probably nobody still watching. Let's talk about resampling then. Okay, so I'm going to go to my track 4 and I'm going to go to sequence, clip on 1. I press shift and the record button. Okay, I'm not fussed about the, so I'm not fussed about the input record. That's me inputting, quantizing the input in, but I do want to put the clip quantize onto 100%. Okay, and then let's shift, go back into the same menu, and exit it out of it by mistake. I make a lot of mistakes too, so I'm only human. So I've got quantize, recording. So I want to record what's going on the master out. So my record source is what would be normally coming out of these two outputs here. But you can change that. You can change it to a single track if you just want to resample one of those tracks. You can choose 1, 2, 3, or 4. I'm not sure how that would work because there's nothing on 4, but because it's a sample track, it's a looper track. But if I go to click on the mix out, that's good. Record measure 8 measures. So I'm fairly sure that 8 measures means 8 bars, because that's the maximum amount of bars you can have on this machine. You can have 8 bars. Let's go for 8 bars. Let's click on that. Okay. So then if I press record and then I just do play, go. So once it's finished recording, it instantly plays it back, which is pretty cool. I quite like that. And that also means that if you've got this machine and you're playing out live, you could essentially record your output from 1, 2, and 3 onto track 4, right? Then switch it over so you've got the looper running, then you can go back into track 1 or whatever your drums are. It could be track 1, or in my case I've got like the percussion on track 2. And I could actually start like editing the sequence that's in there, editing the sequence that's in there, so I've got a different pattern, and then I can drop this out and bring these back in, and I've got a different pattern. I hope that makes sense, because that's a super powerful thing to have going on with this machine. So you can be making stuff on the fly. Now, as a solo performer, that's going to be mega useful for sort of transitioning, moving into other tracks. And something that not many machines can really do. I guess the MC-101 can do it, which is why it's such a good machine for like live performance. But the only other thing that I found that can really come close to that is the Octatrack, and that's an incredibly complex beast to use, and it's a really steep learning curve. But to be honest, I don't know how you guys feel about this machine. Maybe you could leave a comment. It does have a steep learning curve, this machine. There's a lot of menu diving, and that's probably one of the negative things about it. But once you've got your head around this and you've used it a few times, I think that it is a really useful machine and a really powerful machine, and really lightweight, really portable, and good thing just to sort of sketch the start of some tracks out as well. If you're away and you've only got like 20 minutes to sketch out a track, fire this thing up. It takes batteries as well, so you don't need the USB cable. It takes batteries. Fire this up, make some ideas on it, save them, and then when you get a little bit more time, just come back home, plug it into your laptop or into your PC or whatever, and load all those samples off, and then you've got the basis of a track there. So I hope this helps. I'll probably do a few more videos. I am aware that I'm probably covering stuff that is already on the internet, especially on the Roland. I think there's a Roland YouTube that's got lots of really good videos about this machine. But I just wanted to do sort of like a beginner run through of how you can use this machine to make techno tracks. And yeah, maybe I'll move on to something a little bit more complicated with numerous machines after I finished really exploring this machine. Just one final note, if you like this, please do subscribe. It would really help me out, and it gives me a little bit of a boost and makes me think, oh yeah, actually people are watching this, and hopefully this is helping people. And my aim really ever is, if one of my videos has helped one person, then that's my goal achieved. But I am nearing 100 subscribers now, which is not what I expected at all. So yeah, hopefully this is useful. Sorry it's so long. That's me talking on and on and on for 20 odd minutes now, nearly 25 minutes. I hope you find it useful, and yeah, just leave a comment. It'd be great to hear from you. Thanks very much.